Hi, welcome to Brant Ranch Garage. Today we're going to do a couple more things to these 289 Ford heads. The first thing we're going to do is we're going to measure the combustion chamber volume. What we're looking for is consistency across the head. We're also wanting to know exactly what the number is so that we can use it to calculate our compression ratio. And that'll help us to buy the right pistons with the right dome or lack of dome to get to the compression ratio that we want. So what I'm going to do is I've got a barrette filled with just alcohol with a ridiculous amount of blue-green food coloring in it. And I'm going to seal off this plate and let the alcohol run down into there and measure the difference in the barrette. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to put some Vaseline around the edge. That will act as like a seal and keep the measurements accurate. Okay, the first measurement is 23 and a half. Okay, that's pretty full, and we are at 74 and a half. And that comes up with 51 cc's. So we were expecting 54, so I think they milled these heads a bit more than I expected. There's still a thumbnail, that's what this part of the casting's called, but it's not very thick, so good to know. That will certainly affect our piston choice. And I'm just going to go ahead and do the rest of them and see you in a little bit. Okay, so we've completed the CCing of the heads, and I've written the values below each combustion chamber. We're seeing really good consistency across each head, But there's quite a bit of difference between the two heads, and therein lies our dilemma. You can see we've got an average of 52.3 on the lower head and 56.5 on the upper head. So we've got 4 cc's of difference between the two. I tried to figure out what was going on. I thought, well, maybe this head was milled more. And so I took a mic and I measured basically this distance here and came up with that as an average for this head, and that is an average for this head. So the difference is only 1.5 thousandths. And okay, so exploring the idea about the milling differences being responsible for the 4 cc of difference in the heads, I remembered there was a chart in this excellent book referenced for small block Fords that tells you how much you have to mill to reduce the combustion chamber by 1 cc. And if you notice on the 289 two-barrel 65 to 67 head, you have to mill it 7.6 thousandths. So our 1.5 thousandths is in no way capable of reducing the combustion chamber by 4 cc's. So good to know, but that's not our problem. Okay, I think I've figured it out. Look how much less casting there is up in this area on the larger head. It's pretty much underneath the gasket. And then on the other head, there's quite a bit of room. I don't know if that explains 4 cc's, but it certainly is very different. And these are the same castings, and they were cast on the exact same day. So, kind of interesting. Not much I'm willing to do about this because I don't want to make the smaller head bigger. Although that's still a possibility. I'm going to have to think about it. If you wouldn't mind, if you have an opinion on this, please post in the comments and I will take it into consideration. Okay, so the next thing I want to mess around with today is I've mocked up the screw-in studs and the guide plates. My concern is that the guide plates are somewhat narrower than the actual top of the valves. And what we want to have happen is that the rocker, which is, this is the rockers my son chose, are centered on the valve, and so they can do their thing. So I did some measurements. The lifter to lifter distance in the small block Ford is 1.73, and the valve to valve distance is 1.8. The distance of these between these guide plates spots is 1.745. So obviously the push rods need to sit at kind of an angle, but it's not that great of an angle. And because the guide plates are closer to the valve than the push rods, than to the lifters, it doesn't seem quite right. I think there's a bit of a geometry problem with these comp cams 4816 guide plates. So I'm not going to put in these studs and guide plates for good. I'll wait until I can mock up the engine with the thing, and then I will use this adjustable push rod to get the correct push rod length so that we have nice geometry and valve contact in the center of the valve with these rockers. So, but when I am going to do that, I will use this thread sealer because the screw-in stud hole goes right into the water jacket of the head. So we want to make sure those get sealed up. That's it for today. I'm still not sure about what to do about the head differences, but we'll have more on that later, I'm sure. Talk to you later. Thanks.